Good morning, class. This is just going to be a quick video that is going to start a conversation for us about what our year is going to look like. What do I mean by this? Well, we are going to talk about classroom management and what that is, or maybe you already know. We will talk about positive relationships that we can build between both myself and you, as well as between you and the other students. Along with that, we're going to talk about some rules that we might use in the classroom and some procedures or routines as well, because those will be a big part of our day during a regular school day. We will also talk about some strategies that we can all use to deal with times when we might be really upset. And you might notice during all of this that I talk about my other classrooms a lot, and this is because they taught me a lot, and I'll describe more about them as we go. And I forgot to mention that I'm going to start with my personal beliefs, which ties into classroom management. So here we go. I would like this classroom to feel like we are all a close community, and this means that we will always be supportive and kind to each other. It also means that we will all be respectful of one another. The last thing that I want to see in my classroom is disrespectful behavior that hurts others. Everyone in our classroom and coming into our classroom will feel safe, welcome, and cared for at all times. Part of this will mean that I, as the teacher, will need to have good classroom management. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is classroom management? Well, let me tell you. Classroom management is a process that teachers use to make sure that lessons and activities and all classroom activity will not be interrupted by sometimes disruptive behavior from students. More often than not, we try to prevent that behavior from happening by planning ahead. We're really good at that. So I'm going to quickly mention some of the classroom management strategies that I have used or seen in the past. The first teacher that I was able to work with was a grade 2 teacher, and she used a kind of catchphrase to get her class's attention and let them know that they had to look at her. And this was that she would say, "Class, class." And when her class heard this, they knew they had to answer, and their answer had to be, "Yes, class." So they kind of copied her in a way. And they could do all kinds of other wacky, different versions of it, like "class full of unicorns." And the students would answer, "Yes, full of unicorns." So you can imagine it could get kind of funny. And I think we should take the time to make our own catchphrase like that. My other teacher in a grade 6 classroom used a small bell, and whenever the students heard it, they knew that they had to immediately stop what they were doing and look at the teacher for instruction, because usually it meant that maybe she had forgot to tell them something, or that they were possibly being a bit too loud while they were supposed to be doing a silent activity. One more thing before we move on is that fair isn't always equal. And this means that what one student needs to be successful in class may be very different to what you need. And it's not equal, but it is fair, because without some assistance, they may not be successful. Some students, for example, may need fidget toys to keep them on track, and maybe the whole class at some point or other will need to visit our comfy chair or couch area once in a while to just cool down, relax, and resettle before coming back and being part of the class. Next is something that's a little bit complicated, but I think we can get through it fairly easily. So there are a few different models of thinking about human behavior. And what this basically means is what causes the behavior and how to alter it and then work with it. So within this, I believe that I fall under the constructivist and developmental model of thinking, because it has a much larger focus on the process of work and behavior more than it does on the result and whether it was right or wrong. It also focuses on setting challenging yet achievable short and long-term goals, which I think is very important for all students who are looking to achieve success. Next is positive relationships, and it's super duper important in our classroom, and we'll all find that out as we build these relationships together and get to know one another. So I think one of the best ways to do this is to listen to each other, just like the picture shows. So one way to do this is to listen to each other simply when sharing stories or information about ourselves, as it shows that we care. And we really do care about each other. So my grade 2 class that I was talking about before, they did a sharing circle every morning, and each week they chose a new classroom helper, or the teacher did, and each day that student was a classroom helper, they got to bring in something from home to share about or a story to tell. And this was a great opportunity for the whole class to get to know each other and remember these stories and talk to each other about some things they might have in common, or how cool it was that they thought this was different. And I think this would be something great that we could do in our own classroom. Next up, we have rules and routines, and they're a huge part in daily classroom life because mostly it helps teachers with classroom management and it helps you with your learning, so it's a double whammy. I think it's important as a classroom to create the rules we want in the classroom together, and this is because it kind of helps you to follow the rules. If you had a part in making them, you're going to want to do the rule or follow the rule more so than break it. So rules also help us to respect those around us. For instance, raising your hand instead of shouting out is respectful. Now moving on to routines. We'll probably create a lot of routines because you can enjoy learning more when you know what to expect. Just like you might enjoy having a routine where you watch TV while you eat breakfast in the morning. I certainly would. One more thing I should mention is that it might encourage you to keep doing something if another student or myself recognizes that you have been doing a great job of walking quietly through the halls, for example. It could be anything, but it kind of makes you feel good, doesn't it? In fact, you have all been doing a great job watching this video. Nice job! Pat on the back. So, last but not least, we will talk a bit about some specific strategies that we may all want to use if we find that we're getting upset or angry. So I already talked about positive reinforcements in the last slide, and I'll tell you a bit about brain break next. So what this is that if we find that we're kind of getting distracted and daydreamy and off topic, then we'll call for a brain break, and you can just stand up and do whatever it is that'll help you refocus. So maybe it's wiggling around, maybe it's shaking each part of your body, your arms first and then your legs, whatever it is that helps you get back on track. And we'll just take a couple of minutes to do that at a time. Some other strategies that I like are self-management strategies. So 2 of these are debugging and calming strategies. Now, debugging is a 5-step process and is usually used in conflict situations in order to resolve the problem. And the steps are, first, to ignore the person who's causing you a problem. Second is to move away from that person. Third, if the first 2 don't work, is to talk friendly. And fourth is to talk firmly and perhaps use I feel statements such as I feel like you need to move away from me right now. And finally is to get adult help. Next is calming strategies, and specifically I'll talk about deep breathing. And that's one that I think is really easy for anyone to do. And you can either do it simply, as in just taking deep breaths in and out until you feel yourself calming down, or you can include saying or thinking words that might help you calm down even faster. So imagine you are kind of upset or angry about something, and you're thinking to yourself, oh man, I need to relax or chill out before things get too bad. So take a deep breath in, and then when you breathe out, say relaxed. Maybe that'll help you out. All right, class, that's all I've got for you right now, and thank you for your patience. I can't wait to get to know all of you, and I'm excited for our year together.